As this is the last programme in this series of Hidden Treasure, we thought it would be a great opportunity to look back at some of the wonderful finds that we've featured. Not only that, we've brought together a team of experts who will select, by the end of the programme, the Hidden Treasure find of the series.
Treasure, it's all around us.
Look at that!
Every day, new finds are bringing our history to life.
I think we've got a find over here!
I'm Miranda Kristovnikov. Join me in this hidden world, where passions run high, where secrets are kept, and where serious money can be made. The world of hidden treasure. There are 6 finds vying for the title of Hidden Treasure Find of the Series. There's a unique set of Iron Age torques valued at £350,000. An exquisite collection of Roman jewellery valued at £35,000. The stunning contents of 2 Roman graves valued at £31,000. A vast hoard of Iron Age coins estimated to be worth perhaps £350,000. And a gold Saxon sword handle still to be valued. Our 6th and final find is coming from a special event taking place at Charlecote Park in Warwickshire. The National Council for Metal Detecting is holding its own competition, known as the Robin Hat Memorial Trophy, and the winner of this year's event will go forward into our Find of the Series. Metal detectorists are becoming an increasingly important part of the archaeological world. Working in collaboration with the Portable Antiquities Scheme, they are now reporting thousands of finds every year, from very small items to some wonderful treasures.
The rooms of the house are full with absolutely amazing finds. There's just a wealth of artefacts to look at. In the main hall, I met up with Trevor Austin, who's the organiser of this event.
Hi, Miranda.
How are you?
Nice to see you again. You
Good.
okay?
This is fantastic. What a display.
Yeah. Every year we always worry whether or not there's going to be some fantastic things in the competition.
Needn't have worried this year at all.
No, we're never let down at all. You know, there's always something turns up to astound someone, you know.
The 12 finalists in this year's competition include a Bronze Age ornament hoard, a set of beautiful Bronze Age axes, an Iron Age arms cache, rare coins including Viking pennies, and several gold rings. One is a treasure item worth £25,000. One of this year's hot favourites is a 14th century gold ring. It's yours?
That's right.
It's beautiful. It was found by John Wood.
I believe it's a gift from Edward III to one of his sons, the Black Prince of John of Gaunt.
On hand to advise was James Robinson from the British Museum.
It's a beautiful, late 14th century ring set with a diamond. You can see
It's black.
it's a black diamond, yes, it is.
The detail on this is going to be absolutely stunning.
It belongs to a tradition of rings associated with courtship. They're love rings, and stamped into the ring, which is Loyauté sans fin, loyalty without end.
Another contender is a set of bronze axes found by Phil Smith, a novice detectorist from South Wales. So you thought that was a cup?
Yes.
Well, I suppose you'd only been at it 2 weeks, so...
When they come on the ground, I thought, well, there's got to be a handle.
Yeah.
And I was going like this. I know I looked at the video, but it was like this in the field. So really, I didn't have a clue to what they were.
Now you realise how important the hoard is. How do you feel about it?
Some people, 20 years, 25 years to check them, never found anything like it. So
Yeah.
I think I'm quite lucky.
Funny, actually.
On the other side of the table is a medieval crucifix found by Jason Shorthouse from the Midlands.
That particular morning, my mate had a few buckles and that. I was finding nothing, getting a bit fed up, so I decided to sit down and have a cup of tea and that. And I looked at the field and noticed this dark patch in the field. I got a signal, but it was quite shocking because it's quite a big, artefact. And I dug down. I just expected to find a bit of lead or something, and this popped out, and I was just ecstatic. I went up, running to my mate and stuff, and he was like, "Calm down, calm down." Explaining it was one of the best days of my life.
Now, a very serious moment in the proceedings. The delegates from all the regions are carefully examining the artefacts to vote on who the winners are going to be.
I reckon I'll come third. I think these rings were a bit too much.
I know I'm lucky, Phil, but I don't think I'm lucky not to do.
I think it'll win, but I'm no expert.
So, Trevor, the votes are in. What's going to happen next?
That's right. Well, I'd like, Randy, for you to count the votes.
Oh, no! I don't have a biro. I wish they hadn't asked me to do this.
After some careful double-checking, it was time to announce the winner.
The winner of the Artefact of the Year goes to John Wood for his medieval gold figure.
The winner is the exquisite 14th century gold ring, which will go forward into our Find of the Series competition.
John, you did it! Congratulations, that's fantastic. How do you feel?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah?
All those fabulous items on there.
Can we have a look at the cup? That's going to go in pride of place of your mantelpiece as well,
Sure
isn't it?
is. Sure is. Yeah.
It's been a really exciting day, and what a stunning result. But now it's back to the British Museum. In the grand setting of the British Museum's reading room, I met up with our panel of judges. Their task is to choose the hidden treasure find of the series. J.D. Hill and Leslie Webster are curators from the British Museum.
It's the big story that I'm looking for in this.
Roger Bland and Kynwyn Paynton are experts from the Portable Antiquities Scheme.
And I think it just goes to show the potential of finds that are made by people like you and I, ordinary members of the public, and really what's out there.
Trevor Austin is General Secretary of the National Council for Metal Detecting. And last but not least, Kevin Leahy, archaeologist.
I've thought about a number of ways of doing it. I could go for the oldest or the biggest.
These treasures have earned their responsible finders hundreds of thousands of pounds in reward money. But this competition is not about commercial value. We asked our judges to choose the find with the greatest archaeological value. In 6th place, they voted the exquisite medieval gold ring inset with a black diamond. Found in a Cheshire field, this is a very rare and beautifully worked 14th century love ring, inscribed with the words "loyalty without end." It was possibly a gift from King Edward III to his son, the Black Prince.
Not knowing anything about medieval rings and being shown this for the first time has just completely sort of changed my impression of what these objects are. It's just this fantastic little object.
What I love about this is it's a tiny object, it's a very delicate object, and yet it can be read at so many levels.
Kevin, you're a bit captivated with that as well, aren't you?
Yes, what a delightful object. I mean, the crispness and the sharp cutting of the decoration, it's beautifully done. It's just so elegant, so refined.
So for such a tiny object, it's got a huge story around it.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
So, 1 down and 5 fabulous finds to go. In 5th place, all the way from Lincolnshire, we have the beautiful gold sword handle. This find took me on a journey into England's Dark Ages, where I would encounter Saxon monsters and Viking kingdoms. I began my investigation by meeting archaeologist Kevin Leahy.
Now, this is a truly amazing find. Who actually found it?
It's found by a local metal detector user, someone who's been metal detecting for 30 years.
So how did you feel when you first saw it?
Well, it didn't all come at once. The objects were taken out of a box one after the other. I mean, one find would have been incredible, one piece of gold, and then another piece, like rabbits coming out of a hat as it slowly appeared. I mean, it's something we'll never ever forget.
But why was this wonderful object found in a Lincolnshire field? Was it lost or dropped in battle? Was it an offering to the gods placed in the nearby river? Or was it part of an unknown burial? Eager to discover the answer, we began a dig at the find spot. After days of hard work, we had found nothing, although we did have a number of false alarms.
Oh, brilliant.
It's here,
What is it?
it's here,
What is
it's
it?
here. It's a light. All I can say is it is an early light fitting.
With no burials or buildings to throw light on the sword, what clues had the experts at the British Museum found? Scientific examination showed the find to be of the highest quality.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's a design, actually, for animal. Basically, they're animals.
The filigree work revealed 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 monsters intertwined.
It's absolutely beautiful. It's very carefully balanced, and it's absolutely superb design.
The workmanship proved beyond doubt it was of Saxon origin, probably 7th century. But this wasn't the end of the story. I'd been told there was a similar sword in Sweden that belonged to a king, so Kevin and I went to find out.
And this is it?
These are the bits, aren't they? Incredible.
This is absolutely breathtaking work.
Now, who would have owned something like this?
A king, of course.
Yeah.
It's so high quality that it only can belong to a king.
At last we had an answer as to why this wonderful gold sword ended up in a Lincolnshire field.
Things like this sword weren't traded. There was no trade in that sort of thing. They were exchanged as diplomatic gifts. So there was somebody who was a very big noise round here sending a really important object to someone who was also an equally big noise in Lincolnshire.
This is an exceptional find. Even though it's damaged, you can see that it's wonderful quality. We are actually now, through metal detectorists, finding quite a few gold and garnet inlaid pommels, but not an assemblage like this.
Trevor?
I'm just amazed by the wear on this. If you turn it over and you can see that it has actually been used.
I'm sure it was used. I don't think things like this were just made for show. I think this sword certainly seems some action, I think. I'm sure there would be a few people on the receiving end of it. Don't like to think
traces of blood on it anywhere?
This, as an early 7th century piece, typifies the kind of political turmoil that Anglo-Saxon England was in at that point. It's a time when kingdoms are actually shaping themselves and competing with one another, and it was a time when you therefore got great display objects in terms of stating your ancestry, stating territorial claims, and this just sort of encapsulates that very formative period for me.
With 4 finds left, the decisions are getting harder for our panel. In 4th place, we have the best-kept archaeological secret of the decade, the huge hoard of Iron Age coins from Leicestershire. When field walker Ken Wallace unearthed a hoard of Iron Age coins, little did he realise he'd stumbled on one of the most important Iron Age sites in Europe. I couldn't wait to hear his story.
Lying on the surface with 2 fragments of silver coins.
Just on the surface of the soil?
Yeah. But I could immediately tell, because of the shape of them, that they were Celtic. And I scrubbed around with my boot, and a silver denarius came up.
Fantastic.
And we got about 200 coins out of it, just like this.
Fantastic. And that's when it all started, really?
That's when it all started.
Archaeologists carried out an emergency excavation of the find spot and decided to take several unusual blocks of soil to the British Museum for further investigation. The results were amazing.
There are so many coins on this site, and we've had 2 large blocks of soil brought to us. You could see there are lots of coins in the block, and in fact when you look at the x-ray it's absolutely full of coins.
Everyone was stunned. Ken had discovered over 3,000 Iron Age coins. But why were so many coins in one place, and what could they tell us about Iron Age Britain? At the British Museum, I met up with Ken and his wife Hazel. We had a date to meet coin expert Jonathan Williams.
Let's see what you've got for me here. We've got a rather splendid kind of abstract Celtic horse. Now what we've also got here, and this tells me an awful lot about this site, this is a coin from a completely different part of the country. This coin made by a tribe called the Atrebates, and they lived around the area of modern Hampshire.
Ken's coins revealed a tribal map of Britain, proving that the Iron Age people in Leicestershire must have had countrywide connections. This still didn't answer the question as to what all these coins were doing in Leicestershire, so I returned to the site to meet J.D. Hill, who had made a gruesome discovery.
My goodness, you've been busy.
We certainly have.
Loads of digging going on. Talk me through what's happened.
It's all got very weird. Down there, we have huge quantities of animal bone.
Right. So where all those people are digging is littered with animal bone.
We simply didn't expect that.
The archaeologists had found thousands upon thousands of animal bones littering the site. But what were the ancient Brits doing here?
Vicky!
What have you got?
Ken found an important clue.
Look at that.
Wow. Brilliant. Don't know what it is.
This is a handle which goes on a large wooden tankard for drinking out of. And this is a really fine example of a handle.
At last we had hard proof as to what was going on. Not only had Ken found a sacred site, he had found a place where the tribes of Britain would gather. A place to feast, to renew friendships, and offer sacrifices to their gods.
What is so important about finding all these coins from different tribes together?
Well, I think there's been a picture that when the Romans invaded Britain, they came into a country that was completely devoid of civilization. In fact, a lot of the tribes of Britain have been using coins for well over 100 years. What's so interesting about this hoard is it shows us they carried on using those coins, actually. And here we see from the very early years of the Roman occupation of Britain, they're using both sorts of coins, the new Roman coins, alongside their own native coins.
I think it's wonderfully evocative of what little we know about Iron Age religious practices in this period.
Until this find came along, a lot of people had dismissed the East Midlands as being a periphery or a backwater at the time, and yet this has suddenly come along and basically kicks us in the shins and said, hang on a minute, something really important's going on here.
Just 3 fantastic finds to go, and they're all Roman. In third place, from Winchester, we have the wonderful gold torques. In October 2000, detectorist Kevin Halls unearthed one of the most extraordinary hoards of gold jewellery ever found in Britain. I caught up with Kevin in the field where he made the discovery.
How did you feel when you first uncovered the items?
Basically, the word I suppose is gobsmacked, because in the ground it was just as it was placed 2,000 years ago. Absolutely perfect, glowing, just like this stuff here.
The hoard consisted of gold bracelets, brooches, a chain and 2 torques dating back to the Iron Age. But what did the experts at the British Museum make of the find?
This is a completely, totally unique object. There is nothing like this anywhere else in the world.
Archaeologists returned to the find spot but found nothing, though excavations in a nearby field revealed a huge Iron Age enclosure.
Well, down here in this corner there appear to be 2 or 3 smallish circular features, as you can see. 2 or 3 here and a larger one behind us here.
Right. And what are they?
They seem to be post holes, or the remnants of post holes, which may well relate to some kind of structure, some kind of gate arrangement.
Could this imposing site have been the home of the tribal leader who owned the torques? If so, who was he?
The head of the first dynasty that we know about is Commius. He's also the first person that we find inscribing his name on coinage, and this is an example of it. Now, this is the very, very first king that we have in Britain, that we have the name of appearing on a coin. Can you just see there's a tiny bit of an M?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the rest of his name's fallen off.
Right.
So these are very much the first kings of Britain.
At the British Museum, scientists examining the torques had discovered an important clue about their origins.
This particular brooch is over 90% gold. The only way they could be getting this low silver level is by refining it, and we are not aware of any refining in the Celtic world.
So, they were made in the classical world, perhaps in Rome, and given as a gift to the British king Commius. But who was rich enough to make such a gesture? Back at the site, J.D. Hill had worked out that it could be one of 3 powerful Romans.
Could be Julius Caesar, it could be Mark Antony, or it could be the Emperor Augustus.
Come on, narrow it down for me. Who was it?
My suspicion is that it's probably Julius Caesar.
Seriously? I was amazed. We had connected Kevin's find with one of Britain's first kings and none other than Julius Caesar. No wonder our judges rated it so highly.
The way that it flows, the way that it would have settled on around the wearer's neck. Not a solid mass like the earlier Celtic talks, but something that flows. It's really elegant.
You could make a silver chain, but it wouldn't be quite as sinuous and snaky, move with the body as that was clearly intended to.
I mean, there's plenty of talks that you may also say are ostentatious by the size and everything, but if you look at that, then perhaps it's not as ostentatious as some of the other ones.
I don't know.
Are.
I think it's really in your face, and it's just
I think it's
showing the fact that not only can you waste metal, you can use gold to make something, but you can also get it done in a classical style as well. You're really
absolutely
quite flash.
yes. You're laying claim to something there.
If you want an object which sums up Britain just before the Roman conquest, this is it. This is all that mixture of outside classical influences with native British tastes and desires, summed up in one absolutely stunning gold object.
With just 2 finds left to go, it's decision time for our panel. What will they choose? Will it be the wealthy Roman graves or the lost Roman goddess? In second place, the Roman graves. Last year, Dave Phillips stumbled upon the burial site of 2 wealthy Romans near St Albans in Hertfordshire.
We dug and we dug and we dug. We've got glass bottles, and now we've got these fabulous silver brooches, a silver chain, sword blades, and we're going balmy now. We're going, ugh.
The graves contained over 150 objects from every corner of the Roman Empire. As a responsible detectorist, Dave reported his discovery to the local museum. I went to Verulamium Museum to see the objects for myself and to meet Simon West, the archaeologist in charge.
Well, these are the finds that David and ourselves have dug up.
Goodness. No wonder you're so excited about it. Oh, it's such a huge amount of stuff here. I can't believe it. At the site where the objects were found, Simon has been carrying out an extensive dig. What has he found?
We've just found 2 chalk walls on the same alignment as the original wall, but they have a different construction.
Do you know what the building might be?
Well, it could be almost anything from a temple mausolea to a villa, maybe a barn. That's assuming it's Roman. It could even be an Anglo-Saxon one, potentially, or medieval.
No, I don't want it. I want it to be Roman. Simon's prediction was right. He'd uncovered the foundations of an extensive villa and estate buildings where our Romans must have lived. So here's your entrance.
Here's the entrance.
Great.
Through into a long corridor.
Yep.
Imagine lots of carvings, beautiful staircases going up. Really sumptuous, top quality. You could have panelling, almost anything you wanted. And these people were rich to have a villa like this.
Experts from all over the country have examined Dave's finds. From classic scholars...
This is absolutely amazing.
...to human bone experts.
I can tell that it's an adult over the age of about 30 because I've got a piece of clavicle, which is the collarbone.
That's fantastic. What is this? Even forensic scientists have been involved. I was going to say, it looks quite Mediterranean, really.
Oh, yes. I mean, OK, they could have had a vineyard here and they could have grown bread, but olives? I don't think so. Lentils? No.
All this research has enabled us to piece together the lavish life and death of one of Roman Britain's wealthiest families.
I think this is one of the richest 2nd century Roman graves to be sort of properly studied in the last 100 years or so. You've got Romans and Albans, you've got the Basilica, you've got everything going on there in the 2nd century, and this is the grave of someone who very much at the top end of St Albans society from the time.
Kevin.
I just like the classical elegance of it. Here we are, on the edge of the Roman world, and these people had got access to absolutely superb classical objects. We weren't an absolute backwater in this province during the 1st and 2nd centuries.
But I think it should be remembered that this has been rescued from destruction by metal detector users.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's an important thing to remember.
So that means the winner of the Hidden Treasure find of the series is the Lost Goddess. Last year, Alan Meek made an astonishing discovery in a Hertfordshire field.
This is what every detectorist dreams of. I mean, every Sunday you go out and you come back with a couple of coins, you think, that's great. But it was a dream day.
Alan found an extraordinary hoard of Roman gold plaques, exquisite jewellery and a figurine engraved with a mysterious text. I took Alan to the British Museum where the finds were being x-rayed with stunning results.
It says, to the goddess Senua, Dei Senu.
No, I've never heard of Senua before.
Well, you're not the only one. There's no one's heard of Senua before. This is a completely new goddess.
You're joking?
Fantastic find. You've added a new goddess to the pantheon of deities.
That's incredible. How do you feel about that?
My family will never live that one down.
Back in the field where the objects were found, we continued to make discoveries. Gil, what do you reckon this is?
Right, it's a chisel with a tang. This is the blade at this end. It looks as if it's Bronze Age, in fact.
Astonishingly, Alan's find led us to unearth a long-forgotten sacred site dating back to Roman Britain.
You know, if we're talking about temples, we could be talking about a small area with an altar.
What we found was a shrine surrounded by a chalk circle, probably a walkway, enclosing a marsh or spring. There was also a chalk platform where people stood to cast their offerings to their goddess Senua. So, why did our judges choose Alan's discovery as the find of the series?
Kai, I know you're really taken by this one.
I am really taken because we're not looking at somebody rich and their burial and their display of wealth. What we're seeing here is people's hopes and fears and it's a real tangible link with people that were like us. And I like the fact that a lot of the dedications on these votive plaques, a lot of them are written by women as well, which, you know, I like, I can relate to.
Yeah. And it's not just fascinating in its own right, but it's also fascinating for what it tells us about the site where it came from. You've excavated a tiny part of it and found objects going back to the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
We believe there's a lot more there, and there are a lot more secrets still to be unlocked.
It's been tough selecting the top find, as all these objects are important and have a story to tell. But for all those involved, it's been a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Well, thanks all so much. We had a really great day. It was a fantastic result. Really, really enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed it as well.